Say, kids, what time is it?
The future is coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on.
Okay, we are coming on from Aptos, California, down by the beach, where it's been nonstop for the last week, full of activities, full of fun people, and good weather lately. Just love this sunny weather here in Aptosia.
Yeah, we're getting a little spoiled this time of year. Spring has sprung.
Not just the fog anymore.
We did have to put up with several gray days, but
It's been worth it.
spring is back.
How's it going there in San Francisco, Bobby? That's Bobby Wilder, a science correspondent in San Francisco.
I always envy the weather in Santa Cruz because San Francisco has a little bit more fog than you guys do.
Right, just a little.
Yeah. But then it's been clear here, and it's like amazing. This is like perfect days.
Really?
In the last couple days, yeah.
That's
So-
fantastic.
Clear here in Santa Cruz, too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's what I'm
Taylor
saying.
Barcroft, our
Apple analyst.
Apple analyst. Okay, and
Does
he's
that
here
make
because
you an Appleist?
Appleist.
Annapolis.
You from Appalachia? Why do we have our Apple analyst on so early in the show? What's the breaking news, Taylor?
Because the iPad Pros and the iPad Airs, the new iPad Airs and Pros, launched last Wednesday. They arrived last Wednesday. You get your hands on them. And they just put M2s in the Airs, so that's nothing. But they put the M4 in the Pro and also OLED screens on both Pros. So they're quite a bit better than they were, although if you already have one,
I know I have an M1 iPad Pro,
Now, I
and
thought
it's
you
just
guys
great.
were going
It's just
to... Just a little interruption
the
here.
12-inch M1
What's
iPad
that?
Pro I would not upgrade. Yeah, so the point is that the M4 came out, and so
For the-
now
for
the
the iPad.
speculation is, when will the Max have an M4 or an M4
everyone
Pro
wants
or
the
an
M4
Max?
twice as fast, half the power.
Yeah, nobody wants to buy an M2 or even an M3 Mac now that
Yeah.
the M4 is in the iPad.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Mark Gurman of Bloomberg News is saying that there's not going to be a new Mac Studio until 2025. I think it's a ridiculous prediction. I'm predicting that we're going to get Mac Minis and Mac Studios in 3 weeks at the Worldwide Developer Conference. I don't have any skin in the game.
But you're
From some
predicting you want to
Apple
get that mark in there, that's probably what's going to happen.
Look, when you think about the yields,
Yeah.
right? There's an
Yeah.
M4 and an M4 Pro or an M4 Max that are being produced by TSMC in Taiwan,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to have low yields to begin with. What Macs sell the least? The Mac Mini and the Mac Studio, right?
compared
Mac
to
Studio
the,
less than the Mac Mini.
compared to the
because
iPads.
of the price.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be an M4 and M4 Pro Mac Mini announced at Worldwide Developer Conference
In 3
and
weeks.
Possibly, I think it's also going to be announced of an M4 Max and an M4 Ultra Mac Studio. I know I hate to say this because Al just bought the M2 Max in January.
It's
and
all
so
right.
I-
It's all right. I'm ready for an upgrade in 2025. Even though you're saying
well,
it's going to happen this
Gurman
summer.
says it's not going to happen until
Yeah.
2025. I think
Yeah.
it'll happen in 3 weeks.
Okay. All right. That's a
And so-
huge
and so
difference.
does-
It's a
and Yas-
year's difference
Yasmin-
between you and the rest of the analysts.
Vadim of Max Tech, MAXTECH, that's a YouTube channel,
Yeah.
agrees with me. That's what I'm following him. He thinks that's going to happen
Okay.
also.
All right. Well, that's interesting.
Well,
and
why,
what about
why are they predicting other than that? I mean, is there some kind of gear shortage?
I can't
or-
imagine why, because you think about the chip yields, they're going to be low. So they don't want to put MacBook Pros and MacBook Airs out yet because the yields aren't going to be high enough for those products. As far as these products go, the desktop models would sell way less.
so they should
They're
be
gonna
able
have
to
low yields at
handle
the
it.
factory. They're
Yeah.
going to have low volume in sales comparatively compared to the MacBook Pros and
Yeah.
Airs.
Yeah. How many people
So
buy
it just
studios
makes
in
it's
comparison?
just a common sense kind of prediction.
Right. Right. Do you concur, Bobby?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for them to wait another year to put out their flagship high-end Mac Studio and wait,
And the Mac Mini as well.
Huh.
And remember, there's a flaw in the M1, 2, and 3 processors, a physical flaw
The security flaw.
that is a security risk to
Yeah.
everybody. And Apple doesn't want to talk about this, but Bobby has. And that's why I think they're going to want to jump to M4 as soon as they can.
Sure. Sure. So that again bolster the
Now, just to allay fears,
Next month's
could I
delivery.
confirm that that security risk has been presented as an in-person, on-site security risk as opposed to just a general anybody can get your data security risk?
Well, it was shown to Apple back in November of 2023 that there were 8 universities and they were working on flaws in the M series chips 1, 2, and 3. And they discovered not just a software flaw, but it's a hardware flaw. And it has to do with the side cache and the way it can accelerate the computer is it can guess because it has information in a cache and it can pull it from the cache much faster than starting over with this information. What's interesting is on the M4, they just announced how incredible this chip is and how it has a brand new ML cache system that's faster than the one before.
Yeah, you got to get
so
it.
they're just kind of
fade
Way
it out.
faster at predicting properly.
Yeah.
Fade
And
to
so-
M4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're not saying they made a mistake. They're just saying, oh, we got something faster now, and you just have to go to that. Pretty much.
Yeah, but the problem was that predictive power was a leak and people could access it without the proper protocols and authorization.
Yeah. The way it would come in is probably a malfunctioning app that's on your computer on the MSERS. And it can be the iPad or it could be the studio, whatever machine you had. It would probably run in the background. And it takes about an hour to cache, to pick up all the pieces of the cache to figure out your Apple ID password.
Oh.
And sometimes it might be able to run in the background or it might be running on your desktop or when you step away. I don't know how it's going to work, but they predicted that's how it's going to happen.
Oh.
For context, Bobby and Son are both on M1 Mac Minis, and Al and I are I'm on an M2 Pro Mac Mini, and Al's on an M2 Max Mac Mini. So we're all
Mac
interested
Studio.
parties, concerned
Mac
parties.
Studio.
Yeah.
Studio. Is that what he said? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so the flaw is about decoding your actual physical Apple ID to open your computer locally. That's what could be revealed.
It would take over your accounts, your Apple ID accounts. Like you have a lot of password keys and your banking system and all your financial system is all kind of tied to your Apple ID password, you know? So
Well,
it's-
now, let me just say, I think there's a difference between the password that I use to go into my laptop when I first log on and my Apple ID. Those are not the same thing.
they're not the same thing. We're talking about the Apple ID.
Oh, so it would go into your Apple account, which has the access to all of your apps.
Exactly.
And maybe your credit cards too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Especially
no.
if you have an Apple card.
Right.
Especially. Huh?
Okay.
I use that all the time.
Okay. So if the AIs go sentient, they can pretend to be you.
If the AIs go sentient, let's hope they distribute the wealth properly.
That's right. If they pretend to be me, I would like
Yeah.
it to be to my benefit, not to my detriment.
Yeah. You get exactly the amount of money you deserve.
Now, in 3 weeks, we'll
your
be
account.
be
I think
reporting
the
on what
AIs
happens
like
on
me.
WWDC on that Tuesday, June 11th show.
Uh-huh.
If you already have an M1 13-inch iPad Pro, there's no reason to upgrade to the M4 iPad unless you've got money to burn.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an
Unless
echo
you
of
have
what we said
unless
last
you want
time.
an 11-inch, like Bobby and I both have antique 11 inches. So we might do it to have 11-inch models, but all three of us are on M1 13-inch iPads.
If
Yeah,
you're
right.
feeling a
So-
little Applephilia.
I'm okay with my M1 for a while until
Yeah, I am too.
until my bank account gets destroyed. But until then, I'm
Exactly.
happy.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that's
And-
going to
and my-
destroy your bank account is your thirst for more Apple products.
You think?
My old 9.7-inch iPad Pro is the fantastic clock.
Yeah.
I've got it on clock mode 100% of the
Yeah.
time.
It's a great use for it.
Wow.
It's perfect.
I
Yeah.
bet you could buy a museum gallery piece clock for that same
Well,
amount.
it's not unusual actually because Sun is doing the same thing right now with her iPad M1. She is using the atomic clock to keep track of our time on the show, and that's its sole purpose.
You guys each have a 12.9-inch
No,
iPad
she has a
M1?
smaller one.
Oh, she has the 11-inch M1?
Yeah.
And I love that size. It fits in my bag.
Yeah.
I don't bang it when I,
I can
use
see
it.
that.
It's perfect.
Yeah, the 13-inch is a little bit too big and heavy.
That's right. And if anything to upgrade, it would be to get a lighter machine. And it's a whole
Definitely.
pound. I have to hold the whole pound.
It is
up
a
in my
quarter
hand.
pound lighter, the new one.
Wow. Okay. Well, that'll make a difference.
1.25
Sure.
instead of 1.5 pounds for
Well,
the
who wouldn't like a bigger
13
screen?
inch.
But
Well,
I'm actually
lighter
quite
screen.
content.
Yeah, well,
with
that's
mine.
the other thing. The new 11 is the same screen as the 13. Remember, in the M1 iPads, there's a different screen on the 11 than there is on the 13. It's
mean a
got that
different
mini
quality?
LED on the 13, but there's no mini LED on the 11.
Okay, so it's good.
But
Yeah.
but the new ones are dual OLED, what they call tandem OLED, I think. And that's on both screens.
Nice. It's
So if you do have the
OLED.
older iPad and you want a smaller screen, the new one's fantastic for that.
How does the OLED compare to what I have with the mini LED, do you think, in terms of quality?
They're blacker blacks.
On what?
Much
on the
black.
OLED?
Yeah, it's 2 million to 1 contrast instead of 1 million to 1.
Oh, 1 million to 1 to 2
as
million
if
to
our
1.
eyes could tell.
Yeah, I think I remember the LCDs were only thousands to 1.
Much brighter. These
Yeah.
new ones are 1,000 nits, even in standard video, not
OLED,
even
huh?
HDR.
Yeah. You
Does that mean you can
take
watch a movie
They
while you're
peak at
sitting out on the
1600
beach?
HDR will peak at 1600 nits. So they're a lot brighter.
It's easier to see during daytime. So if you take your iPad out
Outside,
you
yeah.
can watch a movie on it. Yeah.
Good. Well, I do like taking the iPhone 15 Pro Max outside. It looks pretty nice until it overheats.
Oh, yeah. That's real.
Yeah.
Your phone overheats?
Yeah, that's one of the problems with the i15 Pro Maxes is that they overheat.
Mine doesn't overheat at all.
Well-
Ever. And it's in a case.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
but do you ever go outside?
Yeah, I go outside. It's in my pocket, though. It's in my pants pocket. I
yeah.
don't really
I'm
hold
outside.
it outside.
I have it outside in the sun.
Yeah, he's more of a sun
Yeah.
worshiper than you, my friend.
So
Yeah, I know. He's worshiping you. You better. Till the rest.
That's not what I
the end
meant,
of
but yeah, that too.
man.
It all works.
I was always wondering why these phones just overheat if you lie them on the table face up.
Yeah.
And I think it's because the blackness of the phone when it's off just sucks up all the heat from the sun.
No, it might just have to do with the heat sink. I mean, it's pretty complicated
on.
to run all that stuff.
What it does is that the sun sneaks up. You know, I'm listening to a podcast and it'll start blasting the phone. I won't notice because my eyes are closed as I'm listening and in my lounge chair. And then it stops. It just stops all of a sudden. And then you look down and you have that little thermometer thing on your iPhone.
Well, the other thing is that if you do graduate to the new M4 iPad Pros, you have to buy, if you want a keyboard case
Yeah.
from Apple, you've got to spend $300 or $350 because the old cases won't work with the new iPads. So you have to buy, if you want one of those Apple keyboard cases, but they do have function keys across the top. That's cool. And you also have to buy a new pencil. Only
That's right. It's
Pencil
only the new
Pros will
pencils,
work
yeah.
with the new iPad Pros, and even the iPad Airs need an Apple Pencil Pro. So those are extra expenses that you didn't necessarily figure on.
Right.
I don't know. If you're an Apple user, you do figure on those extra expenses.
Oh.
You know you got to buy your custom cables and you got
I'm
to
not
buy
into
your
the I'm not
doinks
into
and
the
your
pencil or the
digits.
keyboard case, so I don't really care about those.
Yes. And in the future, kids, you'll spend
I use my
$125 for a plastic pencil.
Ever since Steve's been gone, they don't
Well, yeah, there's
care about
alternative. There are
backward
alternative pencils that are
compatibility.
much less expensive.
Yes, I'm sure
Hey,
there
how
are.
about if we all just talk at once and nobody listens?
I think that's a good idea. Let's do that.
How about if we change the topic?
Okay.
Yeah. How about if we get off of this?
Yeah.
How about
I can
unplugging me?
I can nerd about Macs forever, but do I want to? Do my audience
No,
really
we
want
got
to?
3
No, I
weeks
don't think
more
so.
to do that.
Right. You've got other things going on.
Okay.
So we'll
but
see you
bump.
on Tuesday, the 11th of June, for more exciting Mac adventures.
All right, Taylor. Well, thank
We
you
talked
for
about
your
iOS 18
scintillating
and all that good
update
stuff.
on all things Apple. Appreciate it. And
All right.
we'll talk
Thank
to you
you
soon.
Thank you for allowing me the moment.
Yeah, you
Maybe
bet.
Taylor can report on his solar.
Oh, yeah, you want to say
and,
something about
anchor
that
back-
before we sign off with Taylor? Okay,
The idea is I wanted a battery backup for my house.
that we could
And
support all your
I
screens.
bought the
'cause you-
battery
yeah.
backup because they were giving them away at Costco for $4,000.
That's
and-
not,
instead
doesn't
of
sound like giving
6,500
it away to me, but
$4,000.
okay.
Instead of $6,500.
Now, this is the equivalent of half of a Tesla wall, I understand. Something like
No,
that.
no, it's 3/4 of one
Three-
Tesla wall.
Three
With all
quarters of
the-
one Tesla wall.
With all the intelligence, and it can go and calculate the best time to use the battery, and it can take solar panels, and it can do everything.
This is from Costco?
No,
to
it's
be.
from Anchor.
It's from Anchor.
Anchor.
A-N-K-E-R. It's Solex division, Solix.
All right,
China.
so let me see if I understand. So you bought a device from Costco, and it's basically a solar controller without a solar panel?
We went through the Costco portal to Anchor because it was less expensive that way.
I see. It has an inverter in it, sine wave inverter.
It's called a Solex F3800. It has an inverter and a big battery in it. And for the $4,000, it includes an external battery also. And you can put 6 external batteries on this 3800.
Oh, so you can
I
really
only got one of 6.
Wow.
And what kind of battery is it?
I got a little
These are
house
lithium
with a little
ion.
draw. My office in Idle is only 150 watts. So the house probably draws no more than 500 or 600 watts when it's in full mode.
Yeah, that's
with the
about
TV
what we do,
on and the
500,
computer
600
on.
watts with the television on. Though if you have multiple TVs on, it's going to probably be closer to 1,000.
Well, unfortunately, I'm only one person, so I can only have one TV on at a time.
thought you-
I
Since when I
thought
was,
you were always watching
I thought you were
multiple
bathed in-
channels
Listen,
together.
I have TVs running off my computer. I have a TV and off a Roku attached to one of my computer monitors also. So I can run 3 TV channels at once.
Okay,
Which
all
I
right.
do during football
yeah,
season.
that's what I thought. That's my
We're
image
just
of you.
counting the watts.
Yeah, Taylor bathed in OLED.
So, Taylor, if you fully charge this Anchor battery backup, if the power went out, how long can you run it?
It'll run for about a day. If it's
For about
full.
a day.
Yeah.
He's
But,
got one
but,
external battery
I-
pack on it.
Yeah, I've got one external battery pack. That's including that part. It'll run for a day and 10 hours. It's about 34 hours. But as soon as I turn the TV on, that'll go down a little bit. Then I'm off-peak charging. So right now I'm running off the battery, no AC. And this is my office I'm talking about. I got the office fully backed up to this battery system. And tonight at 9 o'clock, I'll plug it in to start charging off-peak because my peak goes from 4 to 9.
No, that's to
So
avoid the peak
I'm
charges.
saving that money from 4 to 9.
Yeah,
20.
good.
Do you
And
know
then
how
I'm-
much they charge these days for peak power?
We have no idea. We're off the grid always.
The peak is 43 and the off-peak is 31. But that changes in the summer. It goes to
Yeah.
peak 51 and off-peak 43.
And what are the units? What do you get
Per
for
kilowatt
your?
hour, I think?
It's per kilowatt hour battery charge.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
If you have an EV car, you can get better rates, a better tiered rate. So I think I'm paying 23 cents. And you just have to file this form and your registration. You send it to PG&E, and they give you this super good tier rate.
Yeah,
you
unfortunately,
have
I
to
only have
charge
an
at
electric bicycle, and bicycles don't count.
Oh,
So
you
I
got
can't
very
get that
excited
ultra
there.
low
You
rates.
don't have to yell, Taylor.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, he's just
calm
indignant
down.
about that.
Enthusiasm
Sure,
is
he covered.
appreciated, but
Yeah,
you know.
we got 2 minutes before the break. Let's wrap it up here. On
Okay,
this,
so the rest of the project ballooned when we found Bob up in
Free
Marin.
Energy Bob, who's been on the show
Now we're doing
numerous
sun.
times.
Now we're doing solar for sure.
Yeah,
I
you gotta
thought
plug in
solar
a-
was a possibility. Now I know it's a definite.
Yeah, it's a plug-in to this
So
unit.
it's going to be probably be up by the time we come back June 11th. It should be fully solarized and everything.
Yeah.
I'll be charging with the sun daily to the battery and never using the grid for charging, and I'll be off grid like you guys.
Boy,
All right, well,
welcome
let us
to
know
the
how-
solar garden
Yeah, it
club.
works great for us. I'm just wondering how much battery juice you need to have that fully covered.
You mean
how
from
many
the
solar
sun
panels?
or from the-
Are you getting a number of panels, like several 300-watt panels, or?
Yeah, Bob's going to put in the maximum. We're going to have a maximum coverage. It should be overkill. I'll see how that goes when we plug it in.
Okay.
The house should be on idle only 500 or 600 watts, I think.
All right. Well, thank you, Taylor.
Thank
Go to a
you.
little break.
See you guys in 3 weeks.
All right, man. Take it easy. Thanks for the
Thank you.
update.
Bye.
Talk to you later. That's Taylor
Thank you,
Barcroft.
Taylor.
All things Apple
Thank you.
and a little solar input this time.
The votes are in. Chef Ben here from Back Nine Grill and Bar at the Easy Off Past Tempo exit. We are so proud of our food and our service and your votes. Back Nine has been voted Santa Cruz County's best burger and best happy hour in the good times. You've heard me talking about our house ground burgers. It's time for you to come and try one so you can taste the juicy difference. And what makes our happy hour the best? You have to come and experience it yourself. See you at the 9.
Hi, folks. How many of you out there love to garden? Wouldn't it be nice to grow some of your own food? Or maybe a flower garden would brighten your day. Well, now you can have the pleasures of gardening without all that effort. You don't need a tractor. You don't need a rototiller. All you need is the Knox Garden Box, a heavily constructed, portable, elevated garden on legs that can virtually change the way you've gardened in the past. The Knox Garden Box can be set up anywhere. Yes, you can place it right on concrete. For those with bad backs, you've got critters and gophers, no space, or maybe no dirt. With the Knox Garden Box, the therapy of garden is now the prescription for good mental health. The way to find your fabulous Knox Garden Box is by logging on to knoxgardenbox.com. That's KNOX, gardenbox.com. Or by calling 831-461-9430.
You never get a second chance to make a good first impression. When you want to make a good first impression, start with Dynamic Press Angelo.
Dynamic Press can take care of every printing need, from business cards to stationery, apparel, mailings, brochures, everything but money.
When you want to make a good first impression, start with Dynamic Press in Santa Cruz.
479-7920. dynamicpress.com.
Welcome back.
All right, welcome back.
Looking
right.
good out there. Yeah, it's been a very social week for us here.
Yeah, it's been
We've got a
nonstop.
lot of friends dropping in and trying to make the world a better place together.
I think of this weekend we had 2 dinner parties.
Well, there was Friday night, there was Saturday night, and then there was Sunday drop-in.
Right, drop in.
And of course,
and
the
yesterday-
brunches that go along with it's kind of been nonstop, but
Yeah.
it's been really enlightening and a lot of fun and very inspiring. We've got a group of people who are all evolutionary agents, and we've been debating whether or not we even have to go through a crash in order to get to the paradise that we all are here for. And we're a very optimistic crew that is totally prepared for paradise. However, we keep having to navigate the perceptions of people who think that they're very informed, who are busy telling us that the world's about to end. We're going to have the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. We're going to have war and poverty, and money's going to end, and we won't get our supplies.
Those are
and-
known as the end times tuners.
That's right. The end times tuners. We are encountering a lot of end times tuners. And
Yeah.
also a lot of optimists who are saying, well, if we just get ready and do everything right, nobody has to suffer.
I guess,
Those are the kind of
guess which
conversations
direction
we're having.
we lean in.
Yeah, I guess. Not afraid to smile into the future and say, it's going to be great.
And to some extent, it is up to us.
That's right, it is. And we're on a checkerboard planet that is going to amplify whatever energy you put out. So the more we create a sphere of influence that has happy people in it who are trying hard to help each other, the more we experience paradise despite whatever else is going on the rest of the world.
Yeah. And with that in mind, one of the first places we visited yesterday was a local farm called Whiskey Hill.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of locals have been aware of Whiskey Hill for the last 12 years. It's been the domicile of a beautiful visionary who we're very fond of named David Blum. He was really in his element yesterday as a professor. He considers himself a distiller. He considers himself a farmer, an inventor, and a community activist who educates people how to be extremely productive in their efforts to grow things. And he grows a lot of wonderful things that he's got these beautiful greenhouses.
Like
and
wasabi.
yeah,
Wasabi.
He's got an amazing collection of wasabi. He's growing 35 different leaves that are flavorful lettuces and very nutritious things to be eating. And these are cash crops. They're good for a local commercial endeavor.
He's really got a lot of interesting things going on there. We hope the farm can continue. They're
Yeah.
going through a major fundraising right now.
Oh, yeah. Like everybody, the financial system has been conspiring to take good people down. And bless his heart, Dave is doing his best to keep it afloat.
And it is unique in that when you walk in, you do see these incredible canisters, giant aluminum machines. What's going on here? And it turns out to be a distillation facility.
That's,
But,
4 stories high.
Where were we at? Seagram's? No.
No, but
No.
he's distilling alcohol as a fuel for various devices.
Yes, he points out, and you might have read through his classic book, Alcohol Can Be a Gas, that alcohol has been a fuel for our machines for a long
Millennia.
time,
It's
since the
human
internal
history.
combustion engine was invented.
Oh, even before that, they used to do alcohol lamps. People have been fermenting fruit and turning the sugar water into an ignitable fuel.
And distillation is one of the
for a long
oldest
time.
technologies of the Industrial Revolution. Well, he says it goes back to the Roman days, but even modern day versions with the Scots and distillation, it's still hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
And continues to evolve.
Yeah, people who like to drink alcohol don't necessarily remember that it was the best way to light a candle back in the day.
Yeah, right,
But,
exactly. Yeah.
it has a lot of very utilitarian uses besides just a social lubricator.
Yes. And part of the mission yesterday was to introduce David Blum, our local visionary farmer,
Visionary inventor.
farmer, with Danny Sheehan,
Right.
who's a local celebrity lawyer
Yeah.
friend of ours.
And just a legendary human being. He has so many great stories. He's one of my favorite bards.
Yes. He came over here to our place after the party,
After the tour of
after the
Whiskey
tour,
Hill.
and held court here telling stories until midnight.
Yeah.
It was really
our
something.
little party crew is ready for the ascension.
For a good chunk of it, sadly, he says, cameras off for this part. Cameras off.
Well, he just knows if he's going to wax eloquent, he has to be careful about what he shares.
Yes, there's a lot. But he does weave quite amazing tales.
Yeah.
And we're
That's
in
good.
the
Just
midst-
tantalize him. You'll have to tune into Al's live stream if you want to know more.
The live stream, right,
He's
right.
going to be editing that.
But what we can tell you, it was about the latest stuff on UFOs.
Yes,
A lot
which
of
of
interesting
course
material there.
It was very interesting to hear Danny express his perspective on that because, of course, anybody who's familiar with Danny knows that he has always been representing like Stephen Greer and the Disclosure Project. He was representing a lot of different military people, like most recently Lou Alessandro, who was trying to come out with the evidence for the modern investigation of the UFO question. And he's leading the charge in Congress to try and get Congress to draft full disclosure legislation. The way that Danny expressed his connection with the UFO question is that it is the most interesting subject that attracts support on both sides of the aisle in Congress.
Bipartisan support.
Bipartisan support because it is connected to generations of falsification of information and deceitfulness and the kind of government that does not serve we the people. And it has become so corrupt now that it's in danger of not being functional. And exploring the UFO question and the way that the government has repeatedly created obfuscation and deception is a laundry list of all the ways that our government has failed us. It's very interesting to try and get back on the right track using the legal system to hold people accountable and to force
And that's exactly,
people who've been lying to us to disclose the information they've been keeping
and that's exactly
from
what
us.
he's trying to do. And I think in the process, trying to move the whole UFO question away from the military-industrial secrecy world and black budget stuff to academics and anthropologists and
Philosophers.
musicians and philosophers and
Artists.
and turn it over to people who are more
Cheerleaders for the human race.
into life and understanding the nature of life and existence on this planet and intelligence and
And more
instead
likely
of
to create a
secrecy and
society
lockdown
that
and fear
elevates
and-
us all instead of just the
the-
sneaky, self-interested ones that,
And I think one of the funniest part of the evening was when Bruce Erickson, who has been abducted and has been up in ships and stuff like that, came in and just laid it into Danny about how the government is not a big priority with the aliens. They prefer to hang out.
They had their shot.
They've been
They
here,
blew it.
They've been part of the scene a long time, and they hang out with the humans that they resonate with.
There you go.
You know?
Direct to source.
Ain't nobody going to land on the White House. Why bother?
Yeah, right. Those
know?
people are going to be obsolete real soon if they're not already.
It's a matter then of consciousness and where you hang out in your conscious awareness.
Yeah, because really, we all are creator beings. We all are authors of our own story and our own destiny. And what we do together is the force of creation that makes the world, makes the future.
Exactly.
So if we surround ourselves with people who are helping each other and who are self-empowered and who are living their best selves, then just like in the days before media connected all of us to this giant media broadcast of despair, we'll be in a world where there are lots of spheres of influence and lots of different kinds of experiences being had. And the more you're creating paradise around yourself, the more you and everyone you know is experiencing it. And that's where we live. We live in that bubble of people who are making things better.
Absolutely. We had other people coming here, some from millennials, connected with creating heaven on earth and their plans for doing so.
Oh, give a little report.
Jordan and Justin.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Thanks, Jan Ballard, for organizing a group of...
John's one of the great connector people of our community.
Yeah, and the kind of social activism that's going on online is to try and help facilitate local activists to network with each other on a higher level and amplify the wave of influence, and not doing it from like a star broadcast platform, which is kind of old paradigm, but doing it from a meet each other, be aware of each other's strengths, offer each other something that is mutually enhancing, set your priorities together, and just a new online facilitation of a social fabric that is actually improving reality for the participants.
Yeah, it tends to be a collaborative group mind, decentralized intelligence.
It's not that it's not hierarchical, and it's not that it's like communism or whatever.
Yeah.
It's actually self-expression meeting group awareness.
So maximum
And then-
individuation, maximum connection.
Yeah, and maybe we just need a new language for something that used to be called marketing, but it is trying to connect people in a way that matches them so that people with this like mind can mutually support each other.
Yeah. I would say the ideal situation, you'd want to be aware of where the projects are that you'd be most turned on by, most interested in participating in.
Right.
And have it sort of fit into your lifestyle.
Yeah. And the world that we're in right now, people have thought that money is the only guide to that. Like, I'm only going to do what is an efficient way to make money, and then I'm going to do something else. But this is actually a different premise, that I'm only going to do what I'm here to do. I'm only going to do what I'm interested in doing. I'm only going to do what feels like something I can make a meaningful contribution to.
Right.
And that is going to be my platform for success, you know?
Yeah, everyone's going to be doing what they're here to do.
Yeah.
And the system will support that kind of thinking.
And going towards relationships that feel enhancing and nurturing and yummy, and going away from relationships that feel annoying and harmful and suspicious, and just a lot more of a role for intuition, a lot more of a role for developing friendships, stuff like that. Just to try and state the obvious, the age of Aquarius is going to be just like the age we're leaving behind, the age of Pisces, except that everyone in it is going to be a self-actualized, creative, scientific, artistic individual who is thriving in a way that enhances all civilization. So that's the only difference.
Minor details. Okay, very good. So that kind of came a step closer here with all these folks coming to visit us here.
Definitely. We definitely put our drop in the wishing well.
And these ideas become more real, and you have lots of others that you can talk to about such matters.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
I really think that 2024 to 2028, I think there's going to be a lot of UFO activity, because I think the universe and, well, other species in the galaxy are aware that we're coming into this new age and they want to experience it or be on the sidelines and see how we deal with this.
You know, half the people at the party last night reported having had personal UFO experiences, and half the people said that they weren't sure or had not. We've just been joined by Gabrielle, who was with us last night. Let's say hi. Gabrielle, what's up, girl?
Hi, it's so good to be here. What a day yesterday was. This was an outrageous day.
What happened?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, Gabby was on the Whiskey Hill tour. What would be your big takeaway from hanging out with David Blum?
David Blum is amazing. What a person. He's industrious, so smart, just a brilliant, brilliant person who I was so happy to meet. I had no idea. He educated us yesterday in ways that we had never been educated. I mean, we sort of know about sustainable farming vaguely, I think most of us do, but he really dove into this in a way that was just so comprehensive.
Now, I would just want to let people know, Gabrielle is an incredible horticulturalist. She is a wonderful nerd to take a nature walk with because she identifies every plant and she's really has stories about them and has that childlike enthusiasm that just is contagious. And here she is with David Blum, who I would say is of that sort, of that ilk. He has a real joy of life around understanding plants, their chemistries, their ecosystems, and how they can contribute to the world that we're living in.
Yeah, I was so impressed with this cyclical system that he had created there, where they're capturing the emissions from their distillation process, turning that into how do we feed the plants with this. We talked about fuel. We talked about alcohol as fuel and how much more efficient that is, effective, efficient. And that was news to me. He gave this great demonstration to us to show us how alcohol versus gasoline burns.
Oh, it's so clean. Anybody who sees that would want to start using alcohol immediately.
Right. When you burn the gasoline, you can see the muck in the air.
Yeah, and all the residue that's left behind. So not only is it polluting, but it's leaving behind this massive corrosive, these chemicals and these substances, residue.
Yeah. Tar.
Residont.
Tar.
Residont.
Yeah, residont.
Yeah, and the other thing that David did for me was he discussed something that I had never heard about, which was this idea of Trimtab from Bucky
Buckminster Fuller.
Sorry, that's why I meant Buckminster.
That's a cute name for his avatar version.
That's what happens if you just send someone check mine. Okay, anyway, misspoke. Right, Buckminster Fuller. They were talking about Trimtab, and so David was a part of this think tank in Mexico some years ago because we sort of started on this discussion, how do we really affect change when your interests or the interests or goal that you have in mind might be vastly or oppositionally different from the person you're trying to affect the change from. So he told us about this amazing opportunity he had to join a think tank in Mexico.
That was initiated by Dennis Kucinich.
Yes.
Another political hero of mine.
And they all gathered together, and one of the top, officers of Maersk, which was the largest shipping company in the world, was in attendance. And David wanted to pitch the idea of using alcohol to replace his fuel in the ships. And
diesel.
And his whole premise was, hey, listen, the greatest polluter, we're trying to do all of these things with our electric cars and, things here through our public policy. But really the biggest polluter of our planet is this shipping industry where they're moving these mass barges across the world so that we can get our junk from China.
Well, and the numbers he quoted is he said that all of the pollution that is being generated by people is equal to the pollution being generated by 12 of these international cargo ships. And there are 55,000 of them on the ocean. So if we clean up 12 of them, we've already offset all of the pollution of humanity.
Right.
Except for that.
But that alone is not enough to necessarily sway a CEO of a company. So what David did was use this Trimtab idea to use a reference to a movie which was actually based on a true story, Syriana, from George Clooney. And it was about these boys who go out, they're in these fishing vessels and they've got their fuel aboard. and they run into a missile that's sitting under their boat. They crash into it. And that explosion, this is a true story, caused a detonation that was greater than that of Hiroshima that killed 10,000 people and just leveled out communities nearby.
And the point was that it was the model of natural gas as a replacement for diesel. If you were to try
alcohol.
Well, it was actually, Syriana was the example of a missile hitting a natural gas powered boat.
Right. So what he said was, as these insurance companies, as your insurers become more aware that this alternate technology exists, that is risk-free, essentially, that not only doesn't pollute the oceans and our environment, and adding to emissions that are killing our planet, but your insurers are not going to insure you. Who's going to insure you if you keep using this old technology that is a risk? It is highly, the potential for risk was so great.
Well, I just wanted, again, can I just add to the story, is part of the issue is that diesel fuel and the petroleum industry, the extraction industry, is predicting that they are running out of fuel in a very fixed amount of time, 10, 12,
That's
20
right.
years. And they want to reserve that kind of fuel for other purposes than transportation. And therefore, they need a replacement fuel. And so what will that replacement fuel? Well, natural gas is part of that same industry. And this is a deterrent for that replacement fuel. And so,
yeah, I think he quoted like maybe we have 12-year reserve of our oil, and that's a reality. But what he was saying was that we have plants. We have plants that can produce alcohol, which is a natural byproduct, and just have unlimited fuel that's never going to pollute.
Solar sourcing.
And so just this idea. So by simply bringing up the idea of money as
this is going to insure you when you're that dangerous.
This is going to hurt your business. And as the CEO or as an executive officer of a private corporation, you have a fiduciary responsibility to your stakeholders. And so what this did was actually affect real change. And now today, Maersk is changing over their fleet.
Well, we don't know that, but we know
he
they've
said
got
that. Yes, he said that they already have
of their ships now.
Was it just 2?
Yeah, he said they've now.
It was more than that, but
no, he thinks that the entire industry will go this way now because Maersk has started the trend. But as of now, they are testing out 2 ships that are fueled with an alcohol fuel.
It sounds very promising.
But that was such an example for me. It was inspirational in terms of how do we speak to somebody who we need to affect change from? We need these people with us in a lot of cases. We can't just be oppositional and create a war. So how do we get people to come with us in a way that makes sense to all of us? And that was just a brilliant example of this, and it was very inspiring and actually asks you to solve problems, not just bring up problems and criticisms, but how do you get to the heart of somebody, of the matter, in a way that just the simplest little suggestion affects such great change.
Cool. Thank you so much, Gabs. We're in the last minute here before the break. Just want to say.
That was the beginning. That was just the beginning of yesterday. And it is fascinating. And it's also an interesting conversation to look at, well, okay, now it's not just electrification. We shouldn't just get electric cars. But what about cars that run on alcohol? It brings up that question again, which he has been talking about for years. And why hasn't it become mainstream? Mostly because of special interest groups and protectivist lobbies, it would appear. More after the break.
Here, Gabby can read you a little something she just found online while we go into the break.
So Maersk, which ranks number 5 on the Transport Topics Top 50 list, plans to have 25 vessels that are able to run on green methanol. And right now they have 18 large vessels running on this green methanol.
18,
all right.
Wow.
Hey, happy future now, everybody. We'll be back after some words from
our sponsors.
Is that cute? We ran out of time right then.
Okay, we are back. I'll tell you some of the strangest things that have been happening with our new world. Certainly technology kind of pushes us forward whether we like it or not. It's one of the things I love about it. I like today, for example, the whole issue with Scarlett Johansen, but there's a piece on the Today Show this morning that I wanted to play, and we can deconstruct it a little bit. This is a news piece on Scarlett Johansen versus AI.
AI warning from Hollywood. Actress Scarlett Johansen saying this voice used by OpenAI's virtual assistant Sky.
Hello, I'm really excited about teaming up with you.
Sounds, quote, eerily similar to her own.
Hi, how you doing?
The actress famously played an artificial intelligence system in the movie Her in 2013.
Do you have a name?
Yes, Samantha.
Now warning, tech is imitating art too closely.
I'm a virtual assistant that can help answer questions.
Johansen says OpenAI CEO Sam Altman wanted to hire her to voice Sky, but that she declined the offer due to personal reasons. The actress telling NBC News when she later heard the AI voice, she was shocked, angered, and in disbelief. She points out Altman insinuated the intentional similarity when he tweeted a single word, her, the day the ChatGPT product was announced. Altman has previously said Her is his favorite movie about AI.
But yeah, I think Her got something deeply right on the interface, and that is no small feat.
Once the voice was released, many on social media immediately picking up on the resemblance between the two voices.
Hey, is your voice supposed to be Scarlett Johansson?
No, my voice isn't designed to replicate Scarlett Johansson or any specific person.
OpenAI categorically denies the allegations, saying the company cast the voice actor behind Sky before reaching out to Johansson. Altman adding in a statement, the voice of Sky is not Scarlett Johansen's, and it was never intended to resemble hers. Out of respect for Miss Johansen, we have paused using Sky's voice in our products. This latest controversy comes as artificial intelligence has faced increasing criticism.
There you have it. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Well, I think the casual observer would absolutely admit that the ChatGPT voice sounds very similar to Scarlett Johansson.
It's very similar, yeah. What are the rights regarding someone who wants to sue for having their voice copied? Is that going to be an issue?
Well, apparently it's uncharted territory, so stay tuned. We'll find out. What are the AIs allowed to do? There was a big lawsuit when search first hit the internet, and Google had to defend their right to send their web crawler onto people's websites and copy a little bit for the purpose of putting them into the search. At that time, they won that website, I think, under some kind of fair use ruling. I don't really remember the exact details.
There's probably going to be a new category of voice actors that's going to come out of this. Voice actors right now are getting paid for piecework, how much they read and they say. Now, with this technology, their voice is essentially scanned and then recreated. They don't have to talk at all anymore. And so
that's why it's like the original days of Google, because at issue is where did they get the files that they trained the AI with, and who owns those files, and did they get them fairly?
Yeah, but that's not going to last long. So you win a law case or two, and then what? It's just going to reach a point where it becomes relatively trivial to copy anybody's voice.
Well,
and
now
that's
we're
just
talking.
the way it is.
You remember the Terminator? Pretending to be
Yes, and at
Sarah?
first it works. At first it works because it doesn't happen. People don't imitate voices much. But in a world where everyone can imitate everybody, what do you think happens?
Well, I think we're going to find out here.
So what it does is it turns whatever coming into your world as possibly not real. And there's
Greg says he can clone a voice in 5 seconds.
There you go. See, Greg knows.
Yeah.
And that's true. It's rapidly becoming normalized. And that makes whatever you hear and see possibly not real. And definitely improving the chances that this is all a simulation. Yeah. It'll become more like silly putty. Reality will become more like silly putty. And I think a lot of people will start to freak out over that, right? Psychologically. Because there's nothing... You don't know if that's your mother calling or
going to freak out more
or
about
a scammer.
Which will they freak out more about? The fact that we're not alone, or the fact that anything can be imitated by AI?
Anything can be imitated. I don't care who by. I'm thinking of somebody who is social engineering. A lot of hacking comes from convincing people to give you stuff or give you access.
I have a scenario that's like maximum freak out, which is AI creating a simulated Jesus to like tell people in the Middle East to stop fighting. That would be maximum AI. right?
If they took it seriously, but no one would take anything seriously anymore. Whatever you say.
think the CIA has taken that seriously.
Are they? Project Blue Beam?
In the Iraq War, the first one, they actually used high-frequency waves.
Yeah.
And it would actually get the calcium ion channels in your cells to actually, it felt like they were being heated up, and so they were using those frequencies for crowd control. But then later, they were actually using magnetic waves, and in the way that there were studies in Canada years ago where they could take a magnetic coil, put it near the head, and they could induce fear in people. And so
we're machines. We're just fear machines, huh? We can be manipulated by invisible magnetic waves.
Well, we're manipulated by fear, whatever way it comes. But they were saying things like Allah was telling them directly to drop their guns and run.
Wow. And a lot of people heard that.
Yeah, well, apparently they did. And they were using these magnetic waves that actually sounded like telepathic messages. It sounded like voice.
They would think of it as a spiritual experience.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's going to happen here soon. I mean,
fake spiritual experiences that try to get you to do something.
Yes. And they're already working on lasers that can make three-dimensional objects appear in the mist.
Yes. I mean, I have also heard laser speakers where they can project a sound over quite a distance and no one hears it except the person who it's pointing at.
Oh, kind of like that whisper dome trick that they do.
Yeah, only this is beamed. Like I used it in a crowd where I was down in a crowd of people and someone up in the balcony aimed the beam at me and I could hear their voice clear as day and no one around me could hear them.
And it was just this little handheld device.
It was a like laser speaker. It was a special laser speaker. I think it was a company, Holosonics, something like that.
I think you still have it.
I was just lent to me for a couple of days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, we've got to get one of those.
Really? You want to do some
the next
voice
party.
projection?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I can see people, the opportunistic monkeys here. Yeah. Oh, well, not you, Bobby, particularly, but I can see how some guy with it would find a cute girl down in the crowd and start saying, "You're going towards the entrance. You'll see a blonde guy there, about 5'9". Talk to him."
Al, I have to tell you, this is very likely to spook the person and make whoever's receiving that message think she's being stalked. You nerds, do not have a good sense of what is appealing to a girl.
You got a point. On second thought, you got to really be careful of the message, of what you're saying.
Well, if you're going to use technology,
maybe
you have to use it in a way that isn't sneaky. You have to use it in a way that is beautiful.
Well, you're right. Okay, so you just say blonde.
Well, you have your preferences.
He would just hear that, and it would just set the tone.
Now you're going subliminal, huh?
Yeah.
You've been married too long, honey. You kind of forgot your moves. You're fine just the way you are. Let's not worry about your relationship with flirt technology.
Okay, well, let's look at another use for it.
I think you're out of your league.
But the laser sound projections are another level of creating fake reality beyond voice changing, which seems to be the current reality. It's probably going to be such that you will speak in your voice and you have a choice of what it sounds like. Right? You can choose different voice. I think one of the things that humans can add to an AI voice in real time would be more subtle inflections of the tone.
Sure. Well, this is kind of like what happens when you have an avatar, and all of a sudden you have these new ways to make yourself look more glamorous or more beautiful or more heroic. Same thing with the voice, is you have a chance to make yourself take on a new character that allows you to express yourself in a new way. And it's kind of fun to play with, but you have to remember people also, they really like authenticity. Playing with something creatively is one form of these tools affecting our culture, but using these tools to help us more understand who we really are is way more interesting to me.
Okay, well, let's find ways of not just fooling each other, but of enlightening each other.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
Okay.
Like, I guess I could whisper, "To your right." And
What?
And then the person.
You still want to direct me? This is still your Stepford wife fantasy.
No. I guess some kind of subtle.
No, honey.
Let's change the subject.
Depart from your fascination with remote control and how women respond to it, and try and do something that's a little more flirtatious.
Agree with me.
This is like subliminal commands. I don't know, ladies. Anybody out there feel like calling in and giving him some cues?
I love you. Agree with me. I love you. Agree with me. I love you. Agree with me.
Oh my. How did we get here? Good thing I'm very patient and I have a good sense of humor.
No,
but really,
subliminal stuff has always fascinated me. I don't know why.
Nothing
exactly,
like a handful of flowers, honey. And I tell you, a handful of flowers is way better than a sneaky laser projected sound in my ear instructing me to do something.
Overt projection.
That kind of appeals to my contrariness. Like I will do anything but that.
Okay, I got it. It's really
just trying to help you understand, honey. You know, sensitivity and awareness training.
Yes, okay. That's what I'm here for.
Mine or yours?
Both.
Oh, okay.
In a mirror universe,
Fair
it's
enough.
always both. It might be a funhouse mirror universe, but it's always both. So how about this? Blue Origin is finally shooting tourists back into space again.
Oh.
After a nearly 2-year hiatus.
Now, see, if you were the mainstream news, you would just say, Blue Origin is shooting tourists.
6 tourists shot to the edge of space. That's it. I mean, they go to the edge of space.
Uh-huh.
And then come back.
Who went? Anybody famous?
Well, let's see here. It blasted off at 9:36 a.m.
Was this morning?
Weekend.
This weekend. Oh.
Yeah, in Texas, a private ranch in West Texas.
Okay, just a little Sunday afternoon.
I saw this on television.
Did you? Yeah. Okay. Was it good?
Yeah.
Did it look?
Yeah, there was a 90-year-old guy who had been one of the astronaut candidates that Lyndon Johnson appointed back in the 60s.
Huh.
He never made it. He was.
He was originally. He almost was an astronaut.
He was almost. Yeah. Well, they call him an astronaut now because he went up there for 3 minutes or whatever it was.
Well, yeah.
I don't get it. When you go up for 2 or 3 minutes, how does that count?
Well, it's better than not.
Space.
You gotta hold your breath for 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Spaceman. It's hard to get up there.
But anyway, he is 90 years old, and it was very impressive when he got off. He was just really moved.
Wow.
That he had accomplished that.
I like that Jeff Bezos takes his friends and especially shows that space is for everybody and takes people who've wanted to do that their entire lives. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, he understands the term. You got to have a gimmick.
That's right.
So, Taylor, you let people clone your voice? Are you going to do that?
I haven't even cloned myself, and I've had the phone since last September. That's one of the new features of the new software, the new iOS 17. I started to do it. It takes you so long to do it. I gave up. I forgot about it.
Yeah, I was talking about cloning your voice.
How do you clone yourself?
Yeah, you can.
Your phone. You clone your phone.
Isn't that the same or not?
No, you're being very pragmatic.
Is that where it's recording phrases and then it just uses those to replicate your voice throughout?
Oh, that's
what
you meant.
That's
You're cloning your own voice.
11 Labs, I think, lets you do that.
I thought we were going to have to deal with 2 Taylors.
It's bad enough having to deal with one.
It's bad
Scary
enough.
thought.
You don't want to deal with more than one.
He's right.
I still don't have my voice in control all the time.
Yeah. Well, what I wonder is that people were going to want to improve their voice. Like one of the things we have on our mixer here is something called deep bottom. And it's supposed to give you more bass in your voice.
Yeah, give you more bass.
A radio voice.
Yeah, more of a radio voice. I think Johnny Carson always had a special microphone on his desk that he liked. It gave him a pleasing resonance that he felt was him.
I definitely need that.
Did you? Do you think you could sound better with a deep bottom?
I don't know about the deep bottom, but I know I need something to fix my voice because it's really bad when I get excited and stuff. It gets so screechy.
Screechy, yeah.
I got a screechy voice.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
I don't even know what I'm doing. Everybody's freaked out.
How
about we go to another headline?
Thank you, Mrs. Future, for that smooth transition.
Production values, man.
Okay. All right, this is serious one. This is In space news this week, our government claims that a recently launched Russian satellite is what they call ASAT.
So this is at the United Nations? Where is this?
UN Security Council.
Are you going to play a audio clip?
No, I'm just going to tell you about it.
Okay.
Our government claims that a recently launched Ruski satellite is a counter space weapon placed in the same orbit as one of our spy satellites.
Oh, who launched it?
Russia.
Of course.
Yes.
So they're
why would
inhabiting our space?
Well, the idea is that in order to counter one of our spy satellites, they launch one of theirs in the same orbit.
Oh,
and then do something to ours. Or as from something as subtle as spying on the spy.
Oh, they're spying on our spy satellite?
Yeah.
How dare they?
I know, right?
Well,
or
kudos to them that they even can.
Or get close to ours and start mucking with it.
Oh, those Russians. They're always trying to seduce us.
Yeah.
Get too close.
I tell you, they want to muck with our satellites.
Those sneaks.
Yeah.
Why can't they just come out and say it? They want to dominate us. They want to beat us.
Well, they want to know what we're paying attention to, our reconnaissance satellites.
Oh, I see. This is just a chance for us to prove that we know what they're doing. I see you.
Well, they might also plug into the feed and get more information about themselves than they could from their own satellites.
Oh, right. So
right?
now
so
that
who's
they have
paying attention
access...
to me? Oh, it's the Americans. Oh, well, let's see what they're paying attention to.
Sure. That reminds me of one of the stories that Danny told last night. He had been, I don't want to use the names because I don't know how public it needs to be.
How far back are we going here? Iran-Contra?
He had the opportunity to become, he's a lawyer. He was invited to represent a certain organization that was renowned for doing surveillance and for having files on everybody.
Right.
And he told them that it was a condition if he was to even consider working for them that they would have to give him access to 100% of all of their secret information or he was not going to even think about representing them. And the leaders decided to go with his request because they really wanted him. And so they said, okay, sure, we'll let you. And they gave him access to somebody who could open the lock and give him access. And so the first question that he asked this organization is, well, what files do you have on me? I thought that was a brilliant question. They're like, no, we can't show you that. We're not going to show you what files we have on you. He says, well, hey, okay, then I'm not going to participate if I don't have access to all the files. And so they
had to show him
agreed.
eventually, didn't they?
They had to show him. They showed him his file. And he said, hey, I just have to see if you're being accurate or not. I have to see if you're putting truthful information in your profiles or not.
So that's a fake story there.
That's
It's
right.
going to become more and more of an issue today. You want to see your government files.
That's right.
They might be being spoon-fed a bunch of...
Well, we might want to make this a criteria of anybody, say, who wants our vote or anybody who wants us to spend money in their stores. Well, show me what your files look like. And
it gives me an idea for a new agency where you put disinformation out about yourself on the net.
Just to test and see who's tracking it, huh?
Well,
I know where you got that disinformation.
Yeah. Right. You can see how...
Anyway, I just thought it was a brilliant question. The first thing you want to know to trust someone is what did they think about you? What's your profile of me? How accurate are you?
I'll show you my file if you show me yours.
That's right.
These kinds of issues with spy satellites, having spy satellites spying on spy satellites is a real spy versus spy story for this week.
Yeah, of course. And if you personify it and you make it all about spies seducing each other, it's really fun with sneakiness.
Well, what they're worried about is that the spying on the spy might not just be a spy, but might also be a weapon that can blow up the other one.
Uh-oh.
An anti-satellite weapon of some sort.
We might need to have two spy satellites now that they have one too.
Yeah.
We'll let them spy on the old one, but we'll create a new one to keep track of both of them.
Yeah. They also want to make sure that we don't start sending nuclear satellites into space.
Who's they? I thought we already had all kinds of treaties in place around that.
Well, we have nuclear-powered satellites, but not a nuclear bomb.
Those don't count as nukes?
No.
Okay.
No, not a nuclear weapon. No, no, they're nuclear powered. There's a difference. As far as we know, the Russians have not yet deployed a nuclear weapon in space. And it's not yet happened.
As if they're about to.
Well, what's to stop them?
The nuclear treaty.
Yeah, that's nuclear treaty.
Exactly.
I guess that's what's to stop them. But then is there any type of hardware that can actually test and verify that the treaty is being respected.
No. They actually pulled out of the treaty last year.
Oh, so forget that then, right?
Yeah.
Just Russia? Or have we pulled out of
Russia,
the treaty?
Yeah, bilaterally, yes.
Huh.
Okay, well, so once they're not
Unilaterally,
keeping
yeah.
their agreement, we don't keep our agreements either, right?
I guess so. We're free to do what we want. They're not part of the agreement anymore.
Yeah. Huh. Well, when people don't keep their promises, what do you do about it? What do we do as a civilized
you build a bigger
culture?
bomb.
No, now see, that is the wrong answer. Because if you're in a world where you really get what you wish for, that is not what I'm going to wish for.
Well, I'm just taking their point of view. That's allowed them to build a bigger bomb.
Yeah, but isn't
that's
that what
they're
we
doing.
call MAD, mutually assured destruction? Isn't the whole wisdom behind our peace process such that we avoid the need for the bigger bomb to be the decider?
That's true. But if you've been following what they've been developing, they're talking about this Poseidon bomb that if they launched it from one of their submarines off the coast of, let's say, Ireland or England, it would create a tsunami that's 2,000 feet high, and it would just wipe out the country. You know?
But why are they going to do this? Like, why are we even pretending that this is their intention? Like, why are we
Because
acting our fellow humans? They announced that they're going to
announced it.
create a tsunami that's going to wipe out 2 countries?
Yes, they did. So I'll send you information on that. But they announced they have the capability to do that.
Okay, so is this saber rattling? It's what we call saber rattling? We could,
Yes.
so we are, so we will.
Well, they claim they have it already.
Well, I'm still just completely baffled by the intense lack of wisdom among the leaders of the world who are so stupid that they think the only response is to pretend that they're the bigger bully. And it's just getting annoying that our civilization is deteriorating and is going towards bratty 2-year-olds instead of towards enlightened beings who work out their differences in a way that promotes longevity, well-being, civilization, a better tomorrow. Like, how come that part of the conversation is so desperately missing? I blame men. I blame men. I really think you guys go to the weapon first and the sense of fellow humanity last.
Hold on, we got another opinion coming in here. I think Master Now just arrived on this conversation.
And I'll let you guys address this. Hold my
What do you have to say about this?
Peace.
I missed the last 30 seconds, but my belief is that things will evolve at the speed of trust, and there's that much of it right now. Catherine Austin Fitts pointed out that the United States in particular seems to be incapable of keeping agreements. That's a big deal.
Not just us?
No, it's not just us, but
especially us. We lead the way.
It is especially us, and we can take a look at everything from the deals we made with the Native Americans to pretty much every other deal we've made as like how we might be moving forward. And what she says is that you can no longer do business with a group that is incapable of keeping their agreements. You can't do business any longer. So the only option is to change that up. And how does that get done? There's the question. Get some more women involved, maybe.
Well, how is it working for you? You obviously had some success with that. What have you found?
Well, I've found that if you actually do what you say you're going to do, basic boomer benefits, you do what you say you're going to do. A handshake is your word. If you can't do it, then you communicate and say, hey, I can't, I'm sorry. Here's what will I attempt to do. Can I do something else? That would work as well. But you don't just leave it, say, yeah, I'm going to do that, and then that's the last you hear. That basically is not going to engender any kind of cooperation. So I think that's a good beginning. Just start.
What about the people who are part of the agreement who are like, well, we're just going to say what we have to say so that they do what we want. And then as soon as they do what we want, we will see a way to dominate the situation and we'll just do what we want without telling them. We'll expect them to lay down while we show them how much better we are. There's a lot of those power voices that are just here to take advantage.
There are. Unfortunately, it works almost every time. I don't know what movie it was. It just kind of blew me away, though, when England and Scotland were at war, and all of a sudden a truce was going to be offered, and everybody was excited, and okay, we're going to come to some agreement. All the nobles got together in Scotland, but it turned out to be a trap, and they all got hung. Yeah, and so it's kind of like, okay, that's the way England likes to do things. And it's not been that much different, really.
Well, it's really the dominator paradigm, because the dominator really does not have respect for others and has a bully approach to every problem, so that they're the ones who get to tell others what to do.
And so what we have to just depend on and pray for and just intend, because it's always who has the better technology, who's got the stronger steel, who's got the faster whatever. So in my opinion, it's obvious that we have extraterrestrial, interdimensional, there are other beings that are among us and have been for a long time. You've got to pray that they don't have the same mindset as we do when we do our experiments on the rabbits with our drugs or the rats. You hope that they're a little more evolved and don't think of us as
bugs.
Bugs, yeah, basically.
Not so species-centric as we are.
Yeah.
Master now in the studio, Bobby Wilder in San Francisco.
Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-704-1662. 800-704-1662. That's 800-704-1662.
When your business is on the move, you must find the right place for it to move. Let's ask Matt Shelton, General Manager of J.R. Parrish, the big question: what is the right place to move one's business?
Location, location, location. Sometimes it's rent. Sometimes it's the fact that there aren't that many buildings available to suit you, but mostly it's location of your customers, location of the principals, location of your employees.
Move it to the right place with the help of the power brokers at J.R. Parrish in Santa Cruz.
When you need help managing your estate, call on the Angel.
Hello, I am attorney Angel Hess, and I am ready to help. Whether you need a will or a trust, a guardianship or a conservatorship, or if you are managing the financial affairs of a loved one, I will help you with over 7 years' experience working in estate planning and probate fields.
When you need help, call on the Angel, attorney Angel L. Hess at santacruzlegal.net.
Charlie Hong Kong is here to nourish you with our healthy noodle and rice bowls, abundant with local organic produce grown in nutrient-dense soil, as well as soup, sandwiches, salads, and our special ginger lemonade. All are welcome to enjoy our patio or to go. Order in person or online, corner of Soquel and Seabright. Charlie Hong Kong, nourishing our community one bowl at a time.
Okay, we are back. Also, just drop into the studio is Master Now, a.k.a. Mr. Moore.
Yes,
Moore.
that was that radiant light voice you heard just before the break joining us.
Here, fresh from Georgia.
Speaking of trust.
Yeah, and we were just talking about agreements.
And agreements.
Yeah, and there's something about how we just need them. We can't really live without them, right?
Well, it's more than just the agreement. It's actually following through with the agreement. And then if you're really wanting to put things at light speed, you follow through not only with the agreement as it is written, the letter of the agreement, but you do your best to follow through with the spirit of the agreement too. And once you start doing things like that with each other, everything could change very rapidly. But it does take probably some examples of people doing that and having a successful community or country. So
do you advocate just in entering into business with those that follow those principles?
If you possibly could, if that's what happened, if only those businesses and people who follow those principles got the pleasure of interacting and having commerce with everyone else, and those who didn't found their products and services boycotted, that's all it would take. You don't have to tear down anything. You just give the energy to what's working, what's better, like Bucky says.
So making more intelligent choices would make the difference for yourself.
Well, certainly finding those people who follow through with what they say, those companies that will actually follow through with their guarantees, that kind of thing, is the key, I think, and giving all the attention there.
Well, maybe that's
ignoring
why we
the
have the
rest.
rating systems coming in so hot and heavy, because 5-star comments, everybody's commenting on everything these days, and hopefully that gives you more of a sense of the integrity of who you're dealing with.
So you're not afraid of being profiled?
Well, I do follow those rating systems quite a bit, and I've actually gotten a lot from them. I've really enjoyed what I've discovered and learned through them, who to put attention on, who to use. Yeah. But I'm always disturbed by the way those can be gamed. I don't know the details of it, but if there was truly a star rating system that couldn't be gamed or that easily, that would be wonderful. I would love that. But I use the ones that are there, and I always check these things out. I mean,
these days it's de rigueur.
From my point of view, why not? You've got these options. They may cost more, but if you've got 5,000 ratings at a 4.5, it's way better than 10 ratings at a 5. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, before you go, I wanted to get one of your hottest takeaways from yesterday.
Well, that Trimtab idea.
That was from David Blum.
Yes, and I think it was Bucky Fuller was the one who started it. But being able to find that one little thing that then causes the rest of it to change of its own accord. And the example of the big freighter with the 5-ton rudder that you can't possibly do anything with muscle, like with your cranks and your levers. But if you do this little Trimtab thing, it causes a little vacuum out one side of the rudder, and it just starts to move because of the nature of the water and the flow that's disrupted. Yeah. So when he pointed out to the executive that, okay, so your entire ship could be blown up, it will level 10 miles around of everything, and you'll lose your ship, among other things. Who's going to insure you? The guy didn't need anything else. There was no other input that needed to be done for him to know that isn't going to work. Yeah. So that's why he said, well, you're right. I get it. So what is your idea?
Okay, that was good. That's great. The Trimtab.
The Trimtab for me was
good. Yeah, small changes can make huge differences.
In specific
at the right
ones,
time.
At the right place.
At the right time. And being able to tune into that is really the key.
So that becomes a new superpower.
Yeah, it's a superpower to tune in to where you could create reality from Trimtabs only.
Hey, we've discovered a new ninja. We need a Trimtab
master.
Ninja.
Right.
Trimtab master. Yeah, okay, we're putting out the call right now.
Mr. Now. Bring in the Trimtab master.
Trimtab masters, we're putting out the call.
Should be able to change the world from our living room here.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe just a little more gentle example of it that maybe is a little more accessible to those of us who are not shipbuilders or sailors or whatnot is the David Attenborough focus on the herd of deer that are all grazing on the same meadow. And as they realize that they want to move from this meadow and go over to the next stop where they can all drink, the deer start looking up from grazing and just pointing their ear towards the water. And when enough of the deer are all gazing and pointing their ears toward the water, then critical mass, they just start moving and going that direction.
Yeah, it's fascinating how that works.
Yeah.
Got a couple of comments from the audience here.
Okay.
One from Billy, who points out that disinformation can come from files or friends. That disinformation is not...
Hey, you can fool yourself.
Yeah, or from yourself. Disinformation from yourself, too, right. Disinformation can come from all directions.
Lack of humility can cause you to make big mistakes.
That's
okay,
true.
Thank you. So,
yeah.
And what can we do about it? Now, let's solutions mindset here. What's the solution to all of the potential for disinformation?
Recognizing that it's all mind foo, and we're making it up as we go along, and that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, because what do you expect? Is your old belief system that there is some omnipotent force that's creating reality for you, and you're trusting in that force, and that's it?
Well, my guide is the Funhouse Mirror. And as I sort through experiences that come my way, I try and go towards those things that amplify the reflection that I want to have, and I go away from those things that diminish the reflection that I want to have.
Yeah, that sounds like something that even the bacteria can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, goes all the way down that line.
Real common sense.
and Billy reminds you to not believe everything you hear or think.
Oh, I'm a big one for considering the source.
You think?
And actually, as a media person, I have often tried to point out to people that everything that we have not experienced personally ourselves is a story. And when you're talking about believing facts from stories, if you yourself are not the authentic source of that information, it's a trust issue. So you may or may not be right about things that other people have told you.
You may not.
That's not the place to stake your opinion. Let it be, I trust that you believe it to be true.
And certainty is overrated. Yeah, that's it.
All right, so hey,
One
we've
other
got
thing.
a cool AI thing that I really don't want you
I
to
want to
skip.
get to that.
I want you.
We also got a comment from Greg who says that the best way to create a radio voice is to smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day.
I don't know if that's the best way.
Well,
that's a way.
The best
Thanks,
way is to
Greg.
get an 11 Labs account.
Yeah, some people say it's just
Yeah.
do your radio before your coffee, you know. I think I'm
Yeah.
Okay, but that was a good segue to the AI. Let's see, what's the name of this studio? Suno?
Well, there's 2 of them. I've been testing out 2 studios.
This is AI audio advancements that Al's been playing with this week.
Yes. So one is called Suno. There's UDO, UDIO, UDO Beta. The other one is called Suno, SUNO.com.
CSUNO.
SUNO, Suno.com.
Okay, Suno.
And they're not just making up songs for you, but creating whole new styles of songs that you could utilize.
I really liked the originality of this interface, which I had never seen before.
Yeah.
I thought it was fascinating.
And these are to give you an idea of the kind of songs that you've never heard from. You can pick a style, you can roll the dice on this. But to give you an example, let's go to a few ones really quickly. Afrobeat Garage.
Tonight our spirits rise, victorious and bold.
And so what Al is doing here is he is scrolling through a very interesting list of word links that are the categories of the music that the AI will attempt to
Russian,
integrate into your prompt.
Celtic, Russian Celtic. No one does the Russian kick in here. Let's see. Yeah, I guess the language. All right.
Just say those 2 things again.
That's Russian Celtic.
Suno. What's the other one?
SUNO. And UDO. UDIO is the other one. Boogie Celtic. Let's try boogieing.
All dance to the beats of the bodhrán's drum, where joy eludes no man, puts sorrow on the run. In the warmth of the pub, by the flickering peak.
Okay. Ambient trance jungle. Ambient trance jungle.
There must be several hundred of these visible on the screen, and you can scroll through several thousand of these categories.
Psychedelic Hawaiian.
Amidst was around ancient fire, palely paints with volcanic desire, a rainbow dance so profound, in the echo of the conch shell sound.
So these are categories of music that have been created by the prompts of people using this software. And the prompts, of course, are directed towards composing songs with certain themes. But this list
Korean cabaret.
This list is a clickable list of the categories of the musical genres that are in play here.
American soul.
Across the smoke-filled tavern floor, two strangers share a forlorn lore. Soft light in your eyes, our souls explore.
Soulful acid house.
Beyond the colors, beyond the sound, in silence somewhere we're found, exploring realms, both lost and profound, mansions beyond, hollow ground.
Grime synth pop.
just by shadows, we dance in the dark. Our hearts beating tandem, the perilous arc.
Kawaii future bass. And that's actually, it's like it's
Sounds
Korean.
Japanese, Korean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bengali math rock. Now, the thing is about this is that these aren't songs in and of themselves. These are styles. And what you can do is you can create a song about anything in any style. You can say, make an experimental dance pop song about wanting to be with you. And it will create using the...
You can play that one now?
I'm craving your love, don't wanna let go. This dance floors our world, just you and me.
So that was a full prompt,
yeah.
not just a genre.
Yeah, that's a full problem.
Oh, I want you to play that one about the credits.
Okay, here
What
we
was
go.
the number one hit on the Suno hit list? What's on the top of the hit list?
Well, number one is a clip called I Spent 3,000 Credits Making This Song.
This is a pretty universal experience for these AI,
I paid a fortune
AI
for this.
nerds.
And this is all I got. Here you go. This is the chicken ass. It's got almost 60,000 views. It's got actually a verse.
I fired up the AI, ready to make a hit. But the first melody played, oh no, what was it? Why does it sound so bad? I pondered with a frown. Another 100 credits down the drain, I must not drown. I tweaked the parameters, adjusted every now. Still the AI seemed to underperform and wrong.
Keep hoping it'll do a good song sooner or later. It's costing me.
In this place, my wallet bleeds. Drained by credits, I can see. My God, what endless toil I've done. In this place, I stumble away from melodies, a fruitless crusade. Nothing ventured, no hit song made. But I'll keep trying, my passion won't fade. You say the tunes are bad, I don't see it. Maybe I just need new ears, a fresher vision. Because the hardest thing in music's maze is admitting when to walk away.
Yeah.
Now, would you mind
Because the hardest thing in
speaking-
music's maze is admitting when to walk away.
And so
the
this
thing.
whole song is about trying to use AI to compose a song.
He's trying to make a good song. He wants a hit.
And
he's not getting it.
The whole thing about all of these AI services that are trying to get people to come and play with them is they give you some free credits, and then they use those credits up when you record the whatever it is they're offering, when you record the music.
Yeah, you need to plug in some more credits. Hey, it sounds familiar, huh?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what was the line about how it's not working out? There's so many lines in here about that are funny about how
In
it's
this
not
place, my wallet bleeds. That's the pre-chorus. Drained by credits, I concede. My God, what endless toil I've done. Choruses. In this place, I stubbornly wade through melodies, a fruitless crusade. Nothing ventured, no hit song made. But I'll keep trying, my passion won't fade. You say the tunes are bad, I don't see it. Maybe I just need new ears, a fresher vision, because the hardest thing in music's maze is admitting when to walk away. Sounds
That's
like
the
gambling.
number
Sounds like
one hit.
pulling that slot machine to give me a good song. Come on. Yeah. So that's number one on the Suno hit list today.
All right. Hey, we're getting really close to the top of the hour here, honey. Time to squeeze it in or move it on.
Yes.
I just wanted to say goodbye. That's all.
Oh, that's it. Huh? Okay.
Okay. Well, you have a minute and 5 seconds.
Oh, wow. I've got a lot of time here to say
Mess
nothing
around.
or everything or something in between. Yeah, so thank you all. I think the main thing is
Thank you,
credit.
Master
Thank
Now.
you, Mal.
Thank
Master
you,
Now being
Bobby.
here.
Thank you, Taylor.
I'm so happy to be here now.
And thank you, Taylor, for your presence. It's always good to
Craig,
hear from you. And
Billy, Gabrielle,
Yes,
all the
and
gang.
those listening to us. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
happy to share the spaceship with y'all.
But I'm not going to
It's
smoke
really
3
fun.
packs of cigarettes to get a radio voice. I'll tell you that. But I will be back next week, if all goes well. And looking forward to sharing more of our amazing life with you. Take it easy, and thank you, Mrs. Future, for being so making it happen.
Have a really great future now, everybody. Until next week.
Here, here.
See you soon. Here, now.
And make your everything even better than it ever was.